Okay. Well, no, I didn't freeze. Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of our podcast, which I still don't know what to call, whether I call it Ra, Ara, or just call it the Pageant Project Podcast, because that makes... That's the most understandable. But Emily was saying that she needs one of my KFC wipes. So fun fact, those KFC wipes that I had, the Japanese blotting paper, do you know where they originated from, Emily?
No, I have no idea.
And I don't mean from Mecca, the store. I mean they originated from geishas. Geishas used to use them to blot themselves. And be very, very
like rice paper or something.
Yeah, and
That's cool.
It has flecks of gold in it as well, so it's super, super fancy. And that's it for the podcast for this. Okay, so welcome to everyone, and why don't we start with our guest Emily, who is in Canberra, correct?
Yes, I'm in the ACT.
And
represent.
Emily, why don't you take it away and introduce yourself for a bit whilst I blot my shiny forehead?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. If you don't already know me, my name is Emily Egan. I've been competing in pageants for a little while. I think my third or fourth year, maybe. I have competed in Miss World Australia twice, and then I competed in Miss Galaxy Australia last year. Where I took out my first pageant placing, and then I have just signed up to Miss Galaxy again for 2020. So I'm very, very excited about that as well.
Is that the sash that you got on at the moment, Em?
Yes, absolutely. So I don't know if you can see that, but it says Miss Galaxy Australia on that. So this will be,
Nice purple sash. Okay, let's go counterclockwise. Let's go to Toast Girl next. Toast Girl, most people will know Toast Girl. What's been happening in your life this week?
Oh, lots of things. So I've just come up with a new title. So I've got Miss Silk Road Australia. That's my newest title. I'm also still Miss Australia Regency International as well. I'm going to China in very early September, and I'll be competing over there in the Silk Road Global Tourism Gala. Yeah.
So,
yes, Queen.
Yes, Queen.
When are you flying out, Rach?
I think it's the 1st of September. I just got my flight details yesterday, so...
Not long. That's only a week.
Not very
just
long.
Just over a week. Okay, well, that sounds like a pretty full-on week. And then Miss AU Intel 2019 and her special guest, the koala. I'm not talking about the stain on the wall. I'm talking about the koala sitting in the background.
No, classic cat.
Rip. Died.
Guys, that's the name. So, hi everyone. My name is Ruby Adamson. You probably know me already, and if you don't, hi, I'm Ruby Adamson. I'm Miss Australia International 2019.
Covering all those spaces. So what has been happening in your life, Miss Adamson?
My life has been pretty chill since getting back from international, which has been really good because I've just had time to just be like, whew. But I have started studying a particular topic, which I can't say yet until I finish, but it's been absolutely awesome. I've loved every part of it, and I'm really excited to share with you guys what it is after I finish that course.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting and very mysterious.
Yes.
Yes, mysterious.
Emily, what's been going on in your life this week?
Yeah, so I applied for Miss Galaxy for the second time last week. So for me this week, it was just about meeting up with my sponsor and chatting to her about what sort of my plans. I'm very excited as well because I've been discussing with her, obviously, my charity initiatives. So all of that will come out down the track. But it's been so nice getting back into it, and you don't realize how much you miss pageantry until you either, you finish a pageant and then you have the pageant hangover and then you're like, what do I do with my life? So stepping back in this week has been so exciting to get the ball rolling again.
You haven't had that big of a break, have you? I mean, you were in Galaxy last year. You make it sound like you've been away for 10 years.
I It feels, when you don't have something on, it feels like you're out for forever. But it's really only been a few months. But obviously the Queens for Galaxy are in Orlando right now. And so it has been so fabulous this week, like seeing their journey and seeing them fly over and everything. It's been so exciting. So it's been pretty cool to watch them, have their experience over there, and just, it gets you really excited for the next Galaxy and the next experience. So
yeah. They are all having, I'm just fiddling with Emily's camera because she keeps getting bigger and smaller, bigger and smaller. The Galaxy girls at the moment, I interviewed probably my last one out of the ones that are competing in internationals this week. And this is the first time I've interviewed someone whilst they're actually at the pageant. So she was representing Ireland. And as I was interviewing her, her Irish teammates came out from the door behind her because they were hungry and they wanted a bowl of Rice Krispies, which was so disappointing for me because the whole week everyone's been talking about their different, national cuisines. So Australians have, bloody Vegemite. The UK people, okay, out of all three of you, who knows what Biscoff is?
Only from your video. That's the only reason I know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so apparently they're huge on Biscoff, and the Americans, God knows what they're having. But yeah, it's been a manic week, I guess, for myself. I was telling the Queens before we hopped on that this week the Galaxy interviews alone have had probably by now over 10,000 views. So it's just been absolutely manic. But it's been really great to see that all the Galaxy girls have been supporting all the other Galaxy girls, even if they haven't met them, from other countries, from other systems. So that has been amazing. And I think that leads us neatly onto our topic for this week, which is I've put how to pick the best system for you. But I did put a post up on Instagram. I don't know if you guys saw it about something. I don't know. I put up so many posts. But I know that's very...
really well done.
I think it was something about UK pageantry, and I was saying that I was blown away by how they will drive everywhere, hours and hours to support each other. In fact, the Ms. Galaxy that I interviewed, she's from Ireland. Yeah, I don't know how well you guys know the UK, but she said she's done 43 appearances in the last 12 weeks. 43.
Wow.
By the way, she has her own business, and I asked her how much does she drive, and this is not a unique story. They've been driving, like one of them said, a 36-hour round trip, like a 36-hour round trip to support one of your fellow queens. And I was like, okay, I think I was right when I identified the UK has something going on, but I think Rachel Everin put underneath that you need to find a system that you fall in love with. So I think that's probably the question that we're asking is, how do you find a system that you fall in love with? Now, I will obviously have my opinions, but I am the non-queen here. So I think I'll start with Miss AU until 2019 and her sidekick, Kevin, because I'm fairly certain that the system that you represent right now, you've fallen in love with. So why don't you start us off by telling us about your journey to find it and how you managed to finally find a system that you fell in love with?
Yes, of course. So for me, I started pageantry when I was 13 years old. I came in by accident thinking it was just another modelling competition. Did my first pageant, was like, what is this? What have I gotten myself into? But I absolutely fell in love with it. And in 2015, I entered the Australian International Pageant, where I was lucky enough to be crowned Miss Teen Australia International 2015. And I just absolutely fell in love with this system and what it's about. What it says on the website is exactly what it's about. And our director is so transparent. She shows you everything you need to know. This is where the money's going to. Like, she shows you everything because she wants to make sure that you guys know what's going on. And obviously I love the overseas experience because you meet so many beautiful women that just have these amazing platforms that they represent, and everyone's there to speak about what their mission is and what their goals is. It's not there to particularly get dressed up and be fancy. It's purely to get there and just see how many people they can connect with in regards to their platform, which I think is just the most amazing thing. So after having a bit of break doing other pageants, I then came back to this one to help out in 2018. And as soon as I walked into the room, I just felt this overwhelming amount of just value and respect, and it was just, I found my home, to be honest. So I came back in and was lucky enough to be crowned Miss Australia International 2019. I've only really come back from the international pageant a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just really super excited, which I don't think you see a lot, but I am super excited to actually see who my successor is. I am so excited to mentor these girls and coach them, because I want them to go over there and just be the most amazing person that they can be and represent to the very best of their ability. So I am currently helping Fariel with the pageant that's coming up in February for next year.
Jeez.
And yeah, I'm just helping her work through everything, and I'm just ready to see who the new queens are.
You're ready, girl.
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm so excited.
I can't believe it's almost time to crown your successor. I mean, God, that's crazy.
I know. I'm kind of sad to give up the title, but I've already said to Fariel, like, I'm here to stay, whether you like it or not. I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm just really excited to see the girls who come in through the years in the future, and yeah, just to be able to be by their side and just help them every step of the way.
So do you still have that plan to get married so you can do Mrs. and then get divorced so you can do Ms.?
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I just said that to my director because I do love this system so much. And
She
was like,
said it, not me.
Yeah, she was like, if you want to get married and come back, like, that's awesome, but maybe not the whole divorce. Just a joke, but no. But yeah, maybe Mum wants me to do another pageant. I'm like, I want to have a bit of a break. I feel like my whole teen years I've kind of been in the pageant scene, so I'm like, I just kind of want to step back for a bit, be a teenager, and just chill for a bit. But knowing me, I'll probably be like, not next year, but the year after, I want to do it again.
Well, February is not that far away. It's only 6 months away, so you won't have a long break.
Almost Christmas, guys. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you can't tell, Ruby's super excited. I will circle over to Toast Girl. By the way, Emily, do you know why we call Rachel Toast Girl?
No idea. Okay. I've been wondering for probably ages, and I was just like, I feel like I'm not going to ask. It's
that I feel that we want to display, but we also want to keep hidden just for our own enjoyment.
I think Rachel, you should stop wearing crowns and tiaras and just have a giant piece of toast, like a toast hat.
I'll just get a loaf of bread, and just put it on my head.
But Emily, suffice to say that Rachel really, really, really loves toast.
That's what you need to do.
Like,
it's an extravagant story, and it's
I just really like toast. I even mentioned it in my interview with Adrian. So
there's one
part of your life.
There's a video that I will not show in public. But next time I see you, Emily, I will show you, and then you will know why we call Rachel Toast Girl.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
But in meantime, now that I'm done embarrassing Rachel, at least for the next few minutes, how to pick a system that's best for you. Now, Rachel's experience is completely different to Ruby's because you've been in it. Gee, has it even been a year? It's not even really been a year, has it?
No,
you've been through a few systems.
Yeah, I've done a couple. So I think I've done 2 pageants, 3. Okay, so I've done 2 in Australia. I did one overseas, and now this will be my 4th one ever, and this will be my 2nd one overseas for Miss Silk Road. So I got into pageants through Instagram. I was just having a look, and I saw your interview, Adrian, with Gemma. And that's kind of what got me into it. And I thought it was really interesting, everything like that. And I think with picking a system that you really like, you kind of have to look at the values, and also I really look at who they've picked before. because I want to see what that person's like, what values that they put out on social media, everything like that. I think social media is really important because that's a lot of my friends like Ruby and Adrian. I met you guys through social media mostly. And I think that's super important. But I just kind of look at the people who they've picked before and what the system's kind of like overseas, and all these different aspects of it come together to make my decision the ones that I do enter.
That sounds completely logical. I was going to say Ruby mentioned her director. Directors are certainly important. Rachel has mentioned past queens, and then obviously if there is an international competition, you want to check that out, because if you win and you don't want to go, that would be awkward. But Emily, as our guest, what do you think about in terms of choosing a system that you fall in love with?
Yeah, obviously I don't have a title yet, so I am still hunting around for pageant systems and, finding ones that suit you best. So far in my pageant journey, I've been really lucky to find Galaxy, because I think that I'm finding for me that has been the best pageant system for me. And what I did when looking for that was, as Rach said, going through social media. And I am talking be ruthless about it, as in directors, queens, and asking past contestants, I found was a really good way of doing it as well. And Adrian, you've mentioned this in previous videos, but not only speaking to the winners or the queens, but speaking to the girls who didn't get through or, didn't place. And even if there's a state final and a national final, talk to the girls who didn't make the national final, because they will tell you very honestly about their experience. And then the other thing I found very crucial in my decision-making process was girls who would go back to the system. Yeah. I found that was a very big thing to look at, because if someone was willing to go back to the system again and again and again, then that was a pretty good indicator. And I found with Galaxy that a lot of the girls who had competed, like, for example, Alicia, who is currently Miss Galaxy, she's competed 4 times. And so I thought to myself, if someone is willing to go back, yes. But it did make me think, if someone's willing to go back and lose 3 times, then there must be so much that they're gaining within that system. So I was very ruthless with social media. I really looked a lot into it and asking a lot of previous contestants about their experiences and their experiences with the management of the pageant as well. And so after doing that and looking on the website, I found that was probably the best way for me to go about finding the system that worked for me.
I think you've all brought up really good points. What I want to ask is, I think it's obviously important that when we talk about finding a system that suits you, you need to know what you're actually looking for. So if I circle back to Emily first, what actually is most important to you when you're being ruthless, as you said? What are the 1 or 2 main things that you're really looking for from a pageant system?
The first thing for me is definitely values, which Rach did touch on as well. There is no point going to a system that you don't feel like you're going to align with. So I'll give you an example. One of my pageant friends said, "Hey, are you looking at competing in Miss Earth Australia this year?" Which is one of like the big top 6 ones. And I had heard, good things, and I looked into Miss Earth, but then I really thought about it personally, and I realised that as much as, I am an environment lover and I care about those issues, that actually isn't where my advocacy lies. And so I wanted to be with a pageant system, and I'm not knocking Miss Earth whatsoever. Sure. I haven't looked into them enough, but it's finding a pageant that's motto really meets your values. And I know that I wouldn't be a great Australian delegate for Miss Earth, for example, because I wouldn't be putting my heart and soul into that advocacy. So probably for me, it's about being honest with yourself about what your values are and how you would be the best possible delegate for them as well. And then the other thing, I guess, is just going with your gut, like really be honest with yourself and say, is this pageant going to be something that I'm really, do all your background and say, is this really feeling right? And if the answer whatsoever is no, then to me, you have to be pretty honest with yourself about it.
Yeah, that's tough when you've got maybe not that much choice, at least here in Australia, and you've got a big one coming up and you're like, here's this big one, really exciting, but it just doesn't resonate with me, so I'm not going to do it. So I certainly applaud your honesty and integrity there. Ruby, what about yourself? What have you been looking for in your 5,000 years in pageant land?
It feels like that long, honestly. The biggest thing for me is I'm a very helping hand kind of person. So for me, I do look at the system, and especially like I can't fault ours, so I'm talking on behalf of this system, but it's not about ourselves. It's about, that girl that can't do this. What are we going to do to make sure that she is known and that, she's aware of what we're doing? So that's a big thing for me, is obviously it not necessarily being focused on the girl, but the work that she does for a particular platform.
Yeah. And
obviously another thing I said before is transparency. I admire and love our director because she is trans and she shows you, look, this is exactly where this is going, and there's a few faults that have happened here, but I want you to know that this is how I'm going to fix it. And she's very transparent, which I just absolutely love, because sometimes you get directors that really, they don't tell you anything, and you are there and you're like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Internationals is in a week and I don't know this and that, and she's extremely helpful and supportive, and I just absolutely love that.
And some directors you don't even hear from at all. So yeah.
Exactly. Well, Fariel, honestly, it's either she emails you that night. She lives in Miami as well. So emails that night or the second day, really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Guys, for those of you watching, if you have any questions for the girls as to how to pick a system, if you're wondering about one, or I can see a couple of queens watching, so if you have any suggestions yourself, then leave them in the comments below, whether you're watching the live or not. Really? Oh, God. We got synchronized waving going on. Jeez. All right. Rachel, what about yourself? What are your musts from a pageant system?
My must from a pageant system, I reckon sometimes I don't really go for the big sort of ones. I haven't really done that so much. I did Miss Grand earlier on, but I do like the smaller ones because I like to help build something. So at the moment with Miss Silk Road, what's happening with that is Maddie May's the director of that now in Australia. So that's a very new thing for her to do, and she's a very good friend of mine. So I wanted to help out with that, and that's why I said yes to it. I think that if you can get something out of it beyond just being in a pageant, you should definitely go after that as well. Like if you're going in it for the crown or whatever like that, that's fine, like if you want a crown, but you can just as easily go and buy one. But I choose the pageants that I go into because they're smaller, you've got something to work towards, and you can meet a whole bunch of different people that might be new to pageantry or even like kind of like an old hat to it, Ruby. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I would choose it on.
Let's just figure out. So, okay, I've been in pageantry for just like, let's say a year and a half. Rachel is maybe call it 9 months. So together, let's be generous and call it 2.5 years. Emily, how long have you been in pageantry for?
I think this is my 4th year.
6.5. Ruby by herself has been it for how long?
Well, when I was 13, so...
A long time.
Math.
About the same amount as all of us put together, because you're 19 now, so...
Yeah.
That is a lot of experience there. Let me.
I'm an old lady, guys.
Let me ask, and it's great you're not actually going dark this week. Last week, by this stage, we couldn't see you. You were just a shadow.
Yeah, no, lighting. I should know this. I'm a photographer, but that's all good. We got it happening this time.
We got it happening.
Ruby, do you want to tell the audience what the significance of your koala is?
Okie dokie. So I like to have a mascot, okay, when doing a pageant. I think it's really cool to incorporate something that's kind of fun. So we bought this little guy that I absolutely love, called him Classic Kev. Had a couple of other names there. One in particular I adored, but it wasn't really that appropriate. We were going to call him Ben Bartholomew, which would be short for VB, which is just kind of a silly thing. But I think mascots are really cool to take around, just kind of, sneaking them into a photo just for a bit of fun, because let's be honest, pageants are serious sometimes, but it's important that we have some fun.
I think having fun is probably
the
most important thing after the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
Like, if you can't enjoy doing it, don't do it, because there are a lot of other things that are a lot easier, take less time, and are a lot cheaper than doing a pageant. I can tell you that much. So don't do it because you think, oh, well, it's just going to be fun and I'll just see how it goes. No, it's especially the girls from the US, they really take pageantry on as a job. They talk about it almost like a job application. If they win it, they say they're winning a job, and they put their titles on their CV, and it's actually respected, which I don't think we're anywhere near that.
Not yet.
I don't know if the UK is near that either. But so we talked about some ways of picking systems. We talked about the things that you guys want. Let's flip it and maybe ask a slightly harder question. What are the things that you guys definitely do not want in a system? And I'm going to let anyone who is brave enough or eloquent enough speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'll go. Do it. I'll let you guys think.
Go, old soul. Go.
Yes. The biggest thing for me is a system that says they're one thing and then you enter it and it's a completely different thing. That's a huge thing for me, just because obviously you're entering for the reasons of, the website states this and this is who I am. And then you go into it and it's like, this is not what my message is and what I want to portray, and then you're stuck. So I think the biggest thing is obviously study. Please study what you're entering so that you know what you can excel in and do the very best that you can. But yeah, the biggest thing for me is a system that says they're one thing and then they're not that thing.
I also think, building off that, I just want to give people a heads up. When you do look at a website, and I've seen this, if on their website, the pageant website, the copy, the text says something like, unlike every other pageant system, our pageant is about women's empowerment, run for your life. I mean, Emily was talking about being ruthless, and I look at it through the same lens. I mean, if a system is going to say they're the only system that is about women's empowerment, that's false. Because I dare you to try and find a system that will say they're not about women's empowerment. And even the ones that say we're the only ones that we don't look at age, we don't look at height, we don't look at weight. I'm like, you're not the only system that doesn't do that. So just a heads up, when you are looking through, if someone is making a bold claim, and just with a bit of common sense, like in your common sense corner, you know it's not going to be true. Be very, very careful. Because the other thing I would say is, a director, for me, I think is the biggest component out of everything. I've said this before, and I don't know if you guys agree, but if the system is mediocre, but the director is awesome, you're going to have an awesome time. If the system sounds great, but your director is a piece of you-know-what, you're going to have a you-know-what kind of time. I don't care how good the system is.
Yeah.
So that's just from my point of view, having interviewed people from so many systems. Those are some of the things that sort of set my alarm bells off, especially we're the only one that does women's empowerment. I'm like, no, you're not. But Rach, what about yourself? What are the things that are the giant sort of warning signs for you?
Well, I haven't entered that many, I guess, and I've only had very short time, so I can only really speak from what I've kind of seen or heard and a little bit of what I've experienced. But with that whole women's empowerment thing, women's empowerment these days is such a massive buzzword, and no one can ever really tell you what it means. So, it's great. It's a really good thing people use to like reel people in and say, we do women's empowerment, we're going to empower you.
But what does that actually mean?
But a good question to ask. Yeah, a good question to ask is, how are you going to do that? What is I always have this thing about, having a plan of how you're going to go about and do something, because that's just the person I am. But if you're going to empower someone, you have to explain to them how you're going to empower them. And that secondarily brings me to my other point about training. So, like, if you say you're going to train somebody, you better be training them, because you can't make a false claim about we're going to empower you through training you, and then there's no training, or it's very low level of training. So it's a really delicate balance that directors and whoever is doing the training in that particular time, if they bring someone in or whatever else, they have to be very they have to be expert at what they're doing and know what they're looking for to be able to teach you that.
On that note, someone somewhere, I can't remember where, mentioned the importance of reading your contracts as well, because those pieces of paper, they're not just things you look at and then sign and then throw away. They are everything. And unfortunately, I have heard of circumstances where directors have promised things and then not delivered, unfortunately. Catherine, Ruby's mum, has said, I love the idea that it's not about you, it's about building the system. I think one day we should just get Ruby's mum on as a guest. I mean, seeing as you're in the same house anyway, you can just sit next to one.
Ruby.
Yes.
She can come from a pageant mum perspective. That'd be so interesting.
That would be so fun.
She's at that phase in life where she is like, oh, should I do a pageant? I'm like, yes.
Oh, do it. Do it.
And everyone's like, yes.
Whoa, hang on. Does this mean that you become her mentor and director?
I don't.
Oh, I don't like the dynamics of that.
We made some photos the other day. So who knows?
Catherine, are you good at taking directions? If you're watching from your daughter, she does have a lot of experience.
She is the Sandra Bullock in Miss Congeniality. Like, she gets on stage and she starts giggling because she feels a little silly doing it, but it's just like the cutest thing. So yeah,
so cute. I love that.
I can't believe you just described your mum as the cutest thing. Catherine has Rubes can tell me what to do. That's fine. All right. Well, Catherine, you've put it in public. Aww. So if she tells you to do something and you don't do it, it's right there. Ruby might want to take a screenshot of that. No, but Catherine has got a very sensible head on her shoulders. Emily, are there any things that are warning signs for you when you are being ruthless in your search for pageant nirvana?
Yeah, look, the biggest thing I look for as well is fairness and just like basic human like decency and common courtesy as well. And looking online as well, I've just thought of another point. Look at like spelling and stuff. Like, I know that sounds like something ridiculous, but looking at professionalism of posts and professionalism of websites and how up to date pageant things are as well, like whether their Instagrams and stuff are up to date, because it really will give you a good sort of clue on how organized the pageant system is. And I've found that's been one big way that I've done that. But really it comes down to me for values that I would want as a person. I really want those to be similar in pageantry, that I want fairness, I want transparency, I want equality, and I want a winner to be the right person who's the most deserving person. And I think above all else, we want the winner to be the most deserving winner and the person who deserves to win. And so I really struggle when I do hear terrible pageant stories about, you know, not necessarily the wrong winner, but someone who doesn't deserve to win. But yeah, it's one of those hard things. But I will add in one more thing. I want pageants to be like a family. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but it really is a sisterhood. And when you find the right pageant system, it becomes more than just a competition. It becomes a family. And I think that's super important.
That's that again, I can't remember what the post was, but that was what I noticed with the UK girls. They really, and yeah, a lot of people said the currency and the distance we'd have to travel, and absolutely, those are factors. I mean, for us Aussies to get anywhere, it's going to, you know, cost us an arm and a kidney and a heart and a brain probably. But still, I mean, that's one of,
you know.
When I was interviewing the Miss Galaxy Island, she was saying she's done 43 appearances in the last 12 weeks. It's just insane. And that's not isolated. They really do seem to have a sense of family. And this is another thing. I don't know if this exists, Ruby may know, but they actually have pageant networks for the different parts of the UK. And they're like sort of chapters, and they're run, and they will get together, support one another. And the current Miss International UK, who's Harriet Lane, who I probably will be interviewing, she set it up. And she's only, I think, Ruby's age. I think she's 18 or 19. And she's been instrumental in setting these pageant networks up. And I don't exactly know how they meet or whether it's just online, but they have support networks. And one of the women was telling me through that network, for example, she's been able to find a mother who could take her daughter to all the appearances because she couldn't. And I was just thinking, I mean, Ruby, does that exist in Australia?
Well, You do have some groups.
Yeah.
I know there is, but I think that was also started by a UK girl, the Empowerment Group, which is just talking about basically, girls empowerment, but also factors like, I've worked with this photographer. He's not a good photographer. I just want you guys to look out. Like, it's that kind of network, which is really great. But that's really the only one that I'm a part of that I really know of. Right. So it's not really a thing here.
I just think there's a lot that we can learn from the UK girls in terms of, I know there's a lot of differences with Australia, the geographical isolation, etc. But I don't think it's good enough for us to say, well, we can't do it because we're Australian. I think we need to find some way of implementing that, as Emily said, the family aspect, because they really, the family thing, they've got it down pat. There's so many UK girls and Irish girls over in Orlando as we speak. And yes, you could argue that they just want to get out of UK weather, which is certainly part of it.
I don't blame them.
Exactly. But they have flown over there out of their own pocket. And that's 8 hours flying time, right? And they're there to support. Now, whether that's UK or whether that's Galaxy, maybe it's a bit of both. But that's what I put that post up about. I've not seen such a strong element of family here. To be fair, I haven't seen it in the US either, but it's something that for some reason over there. I mean, Rach, you've got a bit of European in you. Can you speak at all to why maybe they've got that? Because I can't understand it. It's massive.
Well, like I've grown up in the Sydney Irish Australian community for my entire life. Like I do Irish dancing, I do all the music and stuff, and all the people that I know in that I've known for like 20 something years, so you do become a bit of a family. And even if you go away for a short amount of time and you come back, you'll always know someone there or someone who knows somebody. And we just all kind of want to help each other out, and we just want to have, a good, nice time. And it is like a family. I don't know if that's a cultural thing, or maybe it's just the people that I hang out with. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's amazing. And just to be clear, it's for them. It's not a system thing either. A lot of them have entered multiple systems, and they will support each other cross system. I'm sure there is some inter-system rivalry, but they're not huge on that. They will go and support. So I just think it's amazing. Emily did mention spelling. And I laughed a bit at that when you said it, not because I thought it was funny, but because I don't know anyone in the world who gets more set off by bad spelling or bad grammar than I do. But I think that's a very good point as well. The other thing that I do look at is when someone, I think, sings their own praises a little bit too much. So, for example, if they have their big national event coming up, and they sort of use it's going to be a one-of-a-kind, spectacular, life-changing event, part of me just goes, just chill a little bit. It's just a pageant. Like, I mean, I get that you're all in, but, anyway, that I digress. So, let's circle around one more time. We've covered a few things. We've covered directors. We covered what you guys want, what you guys don't want, etc., and also how to find them, going through social media, interviewing past winners or past contestants. So I'll circle back to Emily first. And is there anything else that you feel that you want to add to the discussion in terms of someone who might be looking for a pageant and just doesn't know where to start?
Yeah, it is hard because probably getting started for me is the hardest bit. And I was lucky when I started that I was pretty much thrown in by modelling agencies. So similar to Ruby, that sometimes they go through agencies and that's the best way. But what I would say is just once you kind of see an Instagram for one thing, they kind of all link. So make sure you do your research and be thorough with your research, which we've probably all said, but probably that's the biggest thing for me in getting started is just to be super thorough and ask the other girls, like get multiple opinions. Like that's probably just the biggest thing I can say is that just keep asking around, getting multiple sources of information, and then just go with your gut beyond that. But once you get into the pageant sort of system, you'll learn, but the most important thing is getting started. So dive head first, and you'll make mistakes the first time anyways. So the best thing is probably just to dive head in.
Yeah, just do it for the fun of it because, your first one, like you might be going up against people who are a lot more experienced. So my first one that I ever did, I just did it for fun. Like I didn't go in to expect to even win anything at all. Yeah, so like my advice for if you are going to choose a system, and also if it's your first time in pageants, is to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. Don't do it because you want to win, because you probably won't. You don't know what you're doing yet. You haven't learnt yet, so you have to give yourself that time.
Yeah.
And Miss AU Intel 2019.
I love how you just say AU Intel. It's just great.
Because it's got it under your video, and I just love reading it. For some reason, it seems to roll off your tongue.
I want to circle back to that whole family aspect just for a second and just say, I think one of the biggest issues that within that is a lot of pageants in Australia. It's like, I don't want you attending that pageant for this reason. And it's like, we're pageants. We should be supporting each other. So that's just one thing that I just kind of wanted to point out there is I think the biggest problem with our actual pageant community is a lot of the time we're not here as a pageant system to support other pageant systems.
That's not a little thing either. And I'm really glad you brought that up because, as I said, I think the most important thing when you're choosing a system, frankly, is a director. Because it's a lot of fine print. They can say whatever they want, however good or bad their spelling is. But you've got to get a read on the director. If the director is completely above board, I think you're going to have a great time. If the director is not, then you're not going to have a great time. Like, I cannot think. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. Can you guys think of one legitimate reason why one system should not be allowed, that the Queen should not be allowed at another system, unless obviously the system is brought into disrepute or something like that? Is there any reason why I would... If I'm the director, I would not allow your system. Can you give me one legitimate reason for that?
I don't know. Maybe if there's some sort of like conflict of interest, if there's some sort of like business history or something to do with like they pick their judges from a pool of people that are the same or something like that. Maybe something like that. But I don't think that's generally the case from what I've heard at all. No, from what I've heard, it just seems to be ego. It's like very territorial. They're just like, oh, you're on that system. We talked about this last week. Emily, I don't know if you saw it, but I started the podcast off by saying there were some girls at a major pageant that weren't allowed to crack the top 10. They were told this by the director because they had competed in other systems. Now, that to me is the nth degree of lunacy. I mean, what is that about?
And you wish you had found out before entering and putting in all that hard work and
money, time, effort, everything.
They were told this at the national finals. So like in the middle of the national finals, imagine you've been through your prelims, you've been through state, you've been doing this for 6-9 months, and then you get to day 2 of the national finals and you're told, sorry, you never actually had a chance because you competed in another system. Oh well.
And that's my thing about family, is that you would not say that to your little sister or your cousin or whoever it may be. And that's why I keep pushing this thing about family, but about respect and courtesy, because it's like, these are real girls. This is real emotion. People. This is not, that's right, they're people. And I just think pageantry should be like any other job or any other thing, that there has to be standards. There has to be things where the girls and the competitors and their feelings and their interests and their advocacy that they've worked so hard for have to come first. Because otherwise you don't have a system if you don't have girls who are going to step into it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And another thing is, like, I've past experience where I've told, oh, you can't go to that pageant because I don't like that person, that director. And the whole thing, as I said before, it doesn't come down to you. I'm like, I want to go because I want to support the girls. I want to be there as a supporting community for them. It's not about me. It's about the other people.
Yeah, I think something like that, Ruby, is, again, evidence of ego. The director is putting their own beef with another director in front of the interests of their own contestants. And I highlighted this last week. I think the most important thing is to put the contestants, as Emily said, the actual girls, put their interests first. It's not about the director's interests or the sponsor's interests. Unless you put the girls first, you're going to keep having conflicts of interest and going to keep making bad decisions. So, I mean, I just don't understand why, if we're going to have a family here, a pageant family, outside of your own friends, I don't see it happening when there are these egos that keep coming into play and they keep bumping up against one another. Maddie May has said, hey guys, sending you all love. And
Maddie May.
Jazzy Grace Alessio has joined. I don't know if she's still there. Hey, Jazzy, we should have you on one day. Jazzy,
Yes.
Jazzy also wants to interview me. I don't know how that will go. What?
Interview you? Oh, that'd be fun.
Oh.
Flip it around. Enter the Twilight Zone.
It'd be so weird me being interviewed by someone else because it's anyway.
You should do what you did to us in the whole Jelly Belly thing.
Yeah.
Yes. She can interview you, and every time you say or like, then jelly bean for
We'll
you.
just put a jelly belly in your face, like.
Emily, do you know what these girls are talking about?
No, but it sounds funny, so.
Hilarious.
We were together down here in my Sydney offices, and we did sort of a trial run with a group podcast. And I decided it would be a good idea. I know it was my fault. We have these, what are they called? Bean Boozled. Do you know the jelly bean boozled?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time someone said a brain fart, they had to eat one of the jelly beans. And, you know, there's like a 50-50 chance it's going to be great or horrible. Ruby got all the good ones except one. Rachel, I don't think, got one single good one. Neither did I.
I think, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't care to remember.
It's out of the memory. It's just a bad memory. We got to get rid of it.
I don't think Rachel particularly thought that was a good idea, but I thought it was.
No, it was a terrible idea.
None of us wanted to do it.
Well, you all did. No one complained. No one said I won't do it.
Because we're supportive queens. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay, jeez. All right. Catherine has said the UK pageant world is very inclusive from what I have seen. All the girls do the rounds and it's all supported. Yeah, that's been my overwhelming experience because I think probably 10 of the girls I interviewed were from the UK or from Ireland, and it's just that's how I feel. Maddie May has said you should change it to every time you swear you eat a jelly belly. Maddie May did try interviewing me, I think twice, and one time I just kept swearing all the time. But I wouldn't do that if it was online. Anyway, we have been on for a while, so why don't we wrap this up? And we'll start with Emily, just in terms of what have you got coming up, pageant-wise and otherwise, in your exciting lives over the next... Well, Rachel and Ruby, I'd ask for the next week because I get the pleasure of seeing them again next week. But Emily, if you just want to give us an idea as to what's coming up in your future, that'd be great. Oh, and social media, if people want to follow.
Yeah, awesome. So my social media is Emily Egan Insta. I use pretty much just Instagram for everything. My pageant life, I guess, is Miss Galaxy Australia 2020. I'm feeling very, very humbled to step back into that system, which I really love and adore. And as I said, I think it's the most beautiful family that I've found. So I'm just super excited to meet all the new contestants who are going to come through, and then meet up with all like the girls who will be returning as well. So I'm super excited to get my fundraising initiatives on track with that and start working hard towards Galaxy. But in terms of personal life, I'm finishing up with uni, so I'm super, super excited.
Oh, I know that feel.
Finishing that, so that's really good. But I'll be going overseas hopefully soon as well, to Vietnam with my family. So I'm getting a lot in the future actually to be excited about. So I'm very keen for the next few months to unfold.
What degree were you doing at uni again, Em?
Yeah, I'm studying communications in media and public affairs. So it's a little bit of like journalism, but a little bit of law and human rights as well. So it's quite broad and quite interesting.
Well, it sounds like everyone's studying except me, although Rachel just finished studying. But you want to go you want to go back in and get your PhD, don't you? I gave you until the end of this year.
Not right now. Maybe not right now. Oh, my poor brain. It's just full of information that will never be used.
And that's the academics institution here in a nutshell. Or a nutcase. Rach, what have you got coming up in the next week or so?
So at the end of next week, I will be going off to China. Never been to China before. So that will be super fun. And I'll be over there for 2 weeks. I get back in mid-September. And then after that, I haven't really got any massive plans or anything, but, maybe do a couple of like modelling shoots and stuff, because there's quite a few people who I want to work with and who want to work with me. So that's pretty cool. And just, wrap up the year and graduate at the beginning of next year and all that sort of stuff. So nothing really planned between then and graduation.
just imagine when you get your doctorate. I think you should put it in your Instagram handle somehow, like the Dr. HG.
I'm not a doctor though. I would have an MED. That's what I would have.
MED. A med. Okay.
Yeah. But with a small d.
All right. And Ruby, who we can actually still see, although she is gradually getting darker again. I don't know.
I know, it's ridiculous. And I have the biggest light in the world, but...
I was going to say, I've just got my dinky ring light here, but it's doing the job. Look how shiny my forehead is. It's fantastic.
I know. Yeah, it's great.
I can be used as a lighthouse. But Ruby, what have you got coming up in the next week?
So nothing hasn't really changed that much in regards to pageant from last week when we stated that, but just everyday to life, I've got obviously my studying, but I've got a lot of photo shoots coming up with some really fantastic girls, which I'm really excited about. Want to do a photo shoot with you, Emily, which is like, yes, and then Rachel, of course, and just everyone. I just want to photograph everyone because I just love it so much. But yeah, I haven't really got much in terms of pageantry, just everyday life to life stuff, just chilling, being cool,
You
Not that
deserve a break.
I'm far from cool, but just.
Okay. Well, I think that sounds pretty exciting or pretty chilled out, depending on which one of us you're listening to. For myself, I won't be quite doing as many interviews as I've done over the last week, because if I did, it would kill me. It almost did kill me. But I do have an interview coming up this Sunday morning with Danielle Latimer, who's over in the UK. And I think she's probably done every pageant that exists. I think you name it, she's done it. She's done Galaxy, she's done Grand, she's done World, she's done Universe, and she's still going because she wants to get the Galaxy crown. It's insane. But I'll be doing that on Sunday. And then I did do a post, I think, last week asking people to tag queens who they thought would be good interviews. And I think that got like 84 comments underneath it. So at some point I need to work out which ones of those do I actually interview and which ones do I say. Which is always...
Well, we've got 84 episodes coming up then.
Well, I think with the podcast, what I want to do is bring on guests who I know are genuine, obviously, and are good value for money. So it's probably going to run through previous interviews. Like I've interviewed Emily, obviously. I've interviewed...
I'm great value for money.
Yes. I mean that as a compliment. And then Chantel, obviously. So I just think because coming on in this kind of setting, like Emily's done really, really well. Obviously Rach, Ruby, and I know each other. That's the reason I wanted to pick the two of them, because there's a bit of banter and we don't take things super seriously. But sometimes coming in as Emily has come in as the fourth wheel can be difficult because you maybe don't know how crazy. Although I don't know. Emily, let me ask you this. Rachel and Ruby, did you think of them when you first met them or saw them that they were normal, that they were crazy? Like, what kind of vibe did you get from them when you were being ruthless? Be ruthless.
Be ruthless.
I'm going to tell you a bit of a secret, and I'm going to embarrass her really quick, but Ruby was such an idol of mine because I didn't know many, no, it sounds silly, but I didn't know many redhead girls who had done pageantry. And I never saw queens that, it sounds ridiculous, but queens that looked like me. And so when I saw Ruby, I was like, oh my goodness, she's so cool, and blah, blah. And then for like literally years later, I was like, I'm never going to be able to speak to her. I can't talk to her. And so when she messaged me for the interview, and we'd been sort of connecting for a few months and stuff, I was trying to be really chill about it.
Oh, and you were freaking out inside.
Yeah, I was freaking out on the inside. Yeah,
That's
so you guys are
adorable.
much nicer and real fun, and I feel very put to ease because I was actually fanning as if you were Kim Kardashian or something. I don't know, but wow.
That is the only time Ruby's ever going to be compared to Kim Kardashian. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
No, you guys, both of you seriously were kind of a bit celebrity-like to me, though. It sounds silly, but when you don't have a title and you are a pageant girl who looks up to queens, I take that really seriously as girls who have titles who are deserving and who have really shown a lot with their advocacy and what they stand for, and that's something I don't take lightly. So thanks, Adrian, for making my little celebrity fan
she's gonna
crush.
make me cry. Stop! I can't deal with you.
But the biggest thing for me is redhead girls in pageantry. I'm like, yes, because I know that you see so many people and you look at particular pageants and you'll be like, there's never been a redhead win. Where are the redheads?
Yeah.
So
But
I'm
I
like,
did think
redheads.
I did, I thought, but then I was like, oh, they're a bit too crazy. Adrian thinks that they're crazy, but nah.
Oh.
I don't think they're crazy. I definitively know they're crazy and have photographic evidence.
You have video evidence.
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
But
Oh, yeah.
Emily, let's see if we can make your day then, because the reason that you are on our podcast is because last week after we had our episode, I asked these two queens who you're fangirling over who they think should be the guest. And Ruby suggested you because you're another redhead, and I think she would use the words, you're super cool and super genuine or something like that.
Oh, thank you.
This has turned into the
so humble.
podcast.
I know. It's just like, what?
Female empowerment. Let's just.
Yeah, there we go.
No, I'm very humbled, especially because I don't have a title as well. So I feel very grateful that, and I'm not yet someone who has a crown on my head. So I do definitely appreciate coming on here as just a, contestant. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I genuinely don't care that you don't have a title. To me, it doesn't. I'm not going to think more of you if you have a title or not. So,
No. I used to be the same when I started, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Gemma White, she's amazing!" And I followed her for literally weeks, and I was like, every time she posted, I'd be like, "Oh my god, she posted." I don't know if she knows that. If she's watching that, how embarrassing.
well, I think
we all still do with Gemma though. She's so beautiful.
Okay, well,
she's really nice.
It sounds like Rachel wants to have Gemma on the podcast.
Yes. Oh my gosh, can we please?
Gemma, now, coming to sort of the technology stuff, the challenges. So Emily Bless had technological issues. Emily Gemma would make Emily look like some sort of tech genius. Gemma cannot work technology to save her life. So,
oh my gosh.
But she is a very ordinary girl. I call her the extraordinary ordinary girl. There's no pretense about her. If you ever get a chance to chat to her, she's very down to earth. She's got her own battles, as all of us do. But she's actually very, very relatable, surprisingly. I never really fangirled. Did I fangirl over? Fanboy. No, even Miss World, like Sarah Marshke. Probably a lot of people will see her go, "Oh my god, she's Miss World," but she's the most down to earth, relatable person.
She's so chill. I love her so much. I met her in the Miss Grand casting, and we're sitting next to each other. I was just like, "Oh hi," and we just had the most relatable conversation. We just got on really well, and then we did our interview together, and we just sat there. She's so normal. It's just so nice.
Yeah.
It says something though, queens. I think you really look up to queens who are, they come off with this beautiful, elegant image, but when they're actually so easy to talk to and they are normal people, it kind of just makes it amazing because you're like, these are real girls. They're not this incredible, beautiful, they are all of that as well. But it's also, she sits and watches Netflix with cheezels on the couch as well, and that's how it should be.
Yes.
Well, I can tell you in Gemma's case, it's chocolate. I keep telling the story that Gemma was actually... I was messaging Gemma back and forth on Instagram one night, and whilst I was messaging her, she actually chipped her tooth on chocolate.
Oh no.
That's how much she actually.
That's so relatable though.
And then she had to go to the dentist the next day. I actually think she's properly addicted to chocolate, as I'm assuming all three of you are, because you are pageant competitors.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm not big on chocolate. Like,
Oh my God, what's wrong with you?
Nutella stuff. So
I'm sorry, I don't idolize you anymore, Ruby. Like, I thought you were much more relatable than that.
I can't believe that.
okay.
So, Ruby, have you ever been fangirled over before?
No, never. I never.
I'll go hide in the corner.
No, it's that thing because I am just like, you know, I'm just like a normal person. I'm just me, you know. So I never expect that kind of thing. I never do because I'm just like, I'm a normal person. Whatever.
Yeah. I think that shows, though, how much you actually do as a queen, or for anyone in general. It does show you have a lot more of a reach, I guess, than you would ever even realize. So it's very important, I guess, that you use your platform and you know, and you guys are great examples of that. But, you know, you have a lot of people that probably look up to you without even realizing it. So, yeah.
So I think we should just bring Emily on every week so she can make us all feel good about ourselves.
I know. I think this is about
great.
to say, like, forget Alexa and, like, Google thing. We need you every morning. Just like, hi, world's going to be great today. It's like, yes.
Positive affirmations every morning with Emily.
Well, it's a lot cheaper than therapy, so.
Yeah,
True.
Okay, so Davina Kim Hopwood has said, love the support you're giving these girls. She said it was a great idea. Well, thank you. I've been thinking about doing this for a long time. So Catherine has said, so cute. And then she's also said, neither does Adrian, but I don't know what that was about. Ruby, ask your mum. I don't know what that was about.
Immediately my brain went chocolate, but I think you like chocolate. I don't know.
No, not really. Anyway,
There we go.
I think we will wrap it up there. Let's thank Emily for being our guest and for saying such nice things about us.
I know.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments even after the fact, put them in the comments and we will respond to them as soon as our schedules allow. But I'm going to keep our guests on for just a second longer, but I'm going to let the audience go. And we will see you next time. Hey, it's Adrian. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to keep up to date with our interviews, then make sure to subscribe by clicking here. If you'd like to watch some of our interviews right now, then click here. And also make sure to follow us on all our socials right here. Speak to you next time.